Vishy Anand, the legend of Indian chess, faces a very tough challenge in front of him. He's facing Alireza Firouzja, the man in form, the guy who's already scored 3 out of 3 against opponents Caruana, Gukesh, and Nakamura. What a tournament Firouzja is having here at the Tech Mahindra Global Chess League. He's representing the team of the Triveni Continental Kings. Vishy Anand, on the other hand, playing for the Ganges Grandmasters. He started off with 2 losses. He lost his first game to MVL, second to Fabiano, but then struck back with a victory over Gukesh. So right now, Vishy is in good spirits, and we have the arbiter Gopakumar, who's come there to just set the clock to make sure that everything is in order. The time control is very unique here. 40 moves for 20 minutes, and then you don't get additional time, but you get 2 seconds increment per move. The players are ready, and we are ready to rock and roll. Alireza opens the game with pawn to e4, and Vishy plays e5. Knight to c3, something different here. Instead of knight f3, Alireza decides to test Vishy Anand. It's difficult to test Vishy because he's so well prepared. a3 played. Oh, this is the same opening that Aronian played with Wojtaszek at the FIDE World Cup. Knight to f3. And now Anand, what does he do here? He brings his pawn to d6, a simple move here, and Firouzja plays pawn to d4. Vishy takes, he takes d4, knight takes d4, and now black can quickly castle here. And that's exactly what he does. So the knight is out, the bishop is out, you can play rook e8 next and try to put pressure on the e4 pawn. Alireza goes bishop to e2. But now, what's your plan if I go rook e8? He plays his rook to e8. The pawn is hanging. If you play f3, I have the move d5, which is very strong. And so Firouzja plays knight to b3. And now important, because if you take here twice, I take on c5 and you can't take it because the queen is hanging. So bishop drops back to b6. Still, the e4 pawn is hanging, and now bishop g5. Now this starts something very interesting, because now Vishy can ask a question to this bishop, and Firouzja keeps the pin, but now g5 will break it and the e4 pawn would be hanging. So that's a big moment here. g5 played, bishop g3, and now Vishy chops off the pawn. He knows that his position is great. Rook takes e4, he is a pawn up now. White castles here. White is trying to show that the black king is weak here on g8, and it could very well be, but can Alireza take advantage of it? Maybe bishop d3 here to attack this, but then you get this intermediate bg4 move, which is very strong. He goes knight d2, he attacks the rook. Vishy brings back the rook all the way, and now knight to c4, attacking this bishop here. Maybe you want to keep the bishop with bishop c5, and that's what Vishy does. In fact, he goes one step ahead. He wants to reroute the bishop to g7 and tell Firouzja that you have absolutely no compensation for the missing pawn. So c3 played, the bishop drops back to g7, and now the light squares are slightly weak. Can white latch onto it? He plays bishop to h5. He's keeping an eye on the f7 pawn. He's brought his bishop here. The best move could very well be bishop e6 followed by d5, d4. You know, just simple chess here by Firouzja. by Anand, and Firouzja could be in trouble. Vishy goes d5. He's very good at such positions, making very logical, cool, calm moves. Will Alireza face his first defeat of the tournament? knight e3, and now you can push forward, but also bishop e6 looks very solid. Vishy pushes ahead, pawn to d4, and now, well, if you take here, I can take with the knight. I have a great position, but there's an intermezzo, queen f3. If you can't take here because of check and you lose the rook. So very interesting move here, but Vishy very quickly gets his bishop out to e6, and now knight to f5. The position is sharpening up. You don't want to give your light squared bishop, you don't want to give your dark squared bishop. Vishy does give his light squared bishop. Queen takes f5, and now queen f6 makes a lot of sense, and Anand plays it. He somehow managed to shore up all his weaknesses. So in a way, the position should be around equal. The reason why it is equal and not better for black is because this bishop attacks c7, now the queen attacks b7. This bishop is actively placed here, so lot of counterplay and compensation. Takes the pawn on c3, b takes c3, and it's difficult to see what to do with this b7 pawn. Vishy takes the pawn on c3, but now it's getting a bit shaky because after queen takes b7, there's rook c1. He takes it. Rook c1 threatens to win a piece here. Not so easy. How do you continue? And Vishy needs to be very careful. He goes rook to b8. And this is not the best move, because now maybe the better idea was knight e5. But he goes rook b8, and now queen takes c7 by Firouzja. Very powerful move, because he threatens rook c1 again, winning the knight, and also the bishop opens up against the rook. Alireza is calmly calculating everything. He takes the pawn on c7. For Anand now, a tough moment. He goes rook e7. He defends his f7 pawn, but this is where the real trick lies. And will Alireza find it? Yes. Queen takes on e7. Fantastic move by Firouzja. Knight takes e7, and in comes bishop takes b8. Very cool. Very cool. And the rook falls. He plays queen to b3, trying to, the rook falls. There are two rooks for the queen that white has now. The queen attacks here, also the rook on a1, and if Vishy plays rook a b1, you lose the a3 pawn. So is Vishy doing fine here is the big question. He plays rook a b1, and how to assess in which position is the queen better, in which position are the two rooks. Well, one of the basics is that if the opponent's king is weak, the queen is generally doing quite well along with the knight, but the king on g1 is safe, and which is the reason why here the two rooks are going to just completely have a field day. Now you can save your bishop back to putting it on g3, but look at Alireza. He just jumps in with every opportunity that he gets, threatening to take here on f7, and it can't be even saved. Vishy takes the bishop, take on f7, king h7, and now takes on b8. And in this position, white is doing quite well. Bishop d4, attacking the f2 pawn. And the reason why this position should be clearly better for Firouzja is because he just has one extra attacking unit here with the rook, two rooks, and the bishop. Vishy now needs to figure a way out of this discovered attack, but if he can put all his pieces on dark squares, it won't be an issue. Queen c5, and then bishop to h5 check. Makes a lot of sense. Plays it. Bishop h5 check. King g8. And now f2 is hanging here with a check. It's not easy to protect it. He plays his king to h1, giving up the f2 pawn. Actually not really, because it would lead to a mate here. So how does Vishy Anand continue here? He pushes his pawn to a5, h3 by Firouzja. And Vishy now starts to push his a pawn down the board. He's hoping that his a pawn will deliver, but rook d7, very cool move. Now the bishop is hanging. He comes back. And Firouzja now has 1 minute 30 seconds. He gives a check. King h7. Not so easy to finish off Anand. And maybe just getting the bishop here. Yes, he plays it with the idea of a mate. So if a3, bishop e4 is a checkmate happening. So he goes queen e5. He stops bishop e4. Keeps the idea of the a pawn running down. Fascinating battle. Rook a8. And Anand plays queen to f4 here. Firouzja pins the bishop, threatening rook d7 coming in. Vishy goes h5. And now, can we go rook d7? Is the question. Because there is this very cool line. Rook d7. Oops, not rook d8. Rook d7. He plays it. Vishy has to give a check, or else he's lost. But Alireza down to 8 seconds. Queen f4 check, and now g3 should work, but he repeats check, and Firouzja, instead of going g3, goes rook d1 back. And the position has repeated itself. Queen to c5. And now he just chops off the a4 pawn, and bishop 2 rooks against the king here. This is over. h5 is also a bit weak. Vishy is in big problems. He's trying to analyze but doesn't find a way. He resigns here. Vishy Anand has a smile on his face. He's shaking his head. So is Alireza Firouzja. And well, the thing is, Alireza somehow tricked Anand here in this game. He played so well. He found certain moves which were really nice. And Vishy was in big trouble. Actually, the opening really worked out for Vishy. But, this is the thing about Alireza. He's so tricky. He has so many ideas in the position. And then you can see him analyzing with Vishy, maybe discussing some of the moments where Black could have improved his play. But with this, the Triveni Continental Kings score a resounding win over the Ganges Grandmasters, and Alireza Firouzja moves to 4 out of 4. What a player he is.